Hello everybody and welcome to this Gradcracker webinar with Centrica. So today we're going to find out more about Centrica as an organisation, who they are, what they do and what's on offer to you, our STEM students. So I'm going to start with Katie. Lovely to have you back, Katie. I always enjoy doing a webinar with you. And so could you tell the audience please a little bit about you and your role at Centrica?
Yeah, of course. So, hi everyone. I'm Katie. I'm one of the emerging talent managers at Centrica, and my role is really to help oversee and manage our emerging talent programs. So, anything from grad programs, summer internships, and also year in industry programs. Previously, I've done the HR graduate scheme myself. That's now called our People scheme, and I also did the summer internship at Centrica. And I went to Nottingham University and did management. So my role really involves a lot of like continuous improvement. And yeah, my favourite aspects of it is really about driving more inclusivity and accessibility into our emerging talent programmes at Centrica.
Perfect, thank you, Katie. And tell everybody a little bit more about the organisation.
So Centrica is an international energy and services and solutions company, and really our focus at the moment is to support our customers to use energy more efficiently and sustainably. So this is happening in three sort of key ways. So we want customers to make smarter choices about how they use their energy, so they can save money but also choose more decarbonised offerings. We also want we are also like optimizing energy, so supporting the responsible buying and selling of energy, and also investing in lots of infrastructure so that we're contributing to a low carbon future for the UK and elsewhere. So we've got 12 key brands. British Gas, we've got Services and Solutions and British Gas Energy. They're really focused on delivery. And then we've also got business units more focused on the long-term growth. So Centrica Energy and Centrica Business Solutions, and as a grad you'll work across the business units. I think at the moment it's a really exciting time to join Centrica. So we're really powering the journey to net zero. Last week or the week before, I think, we announced we're investing between 600 million to 800 million a year until 2028 in renewable generation and our customers. And we've also announced we're creating a business unit that's specifically focusing on new businesses and net zero. So yeah, really exciting time. And last year we also were 9 out of 100 best student employers, top engineering employer with Rate My Placement, and highly commended for our internship. So if you decide to join, you're in very safe hands. But yeah, I think Centrica is a great company if you're curious about energy, about the energy industry. I'm really passionate about net zero and contributing to the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Katie. We'll speak to Katie a little bit later on about the opportunities that they will be opening on Gradcracker tomorrow, the 29th of September. But for now, we're going to go and meet all of the grads. So Lucy, I'm going to start with you. Could you tell me a little bit about your background and why you chose Centrica?
Yeah, so I studied BSc Geography at the University of Birmingham, and I chose the geography side because really interested in climate change and just the whole problem with what's going on in the world. And then through my degree, I was doing a few modules about the energy transition, and it sparked my interest. And then I knew Centrica was the one for me. So yeah, applied to different energy companies and started the Centrica Commercial Analyst Graduate Programme about 2 years ago now. So actually just finished that last week. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So are you a fully fledged member of the Centrica team now?
I am, yeah. So I'm now a renewable investment analyst. So yeah.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
The net zero side.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Lucy. We'll speak to you a little bit more about your role at Centrica a little bit later on. And Mira, tell us a little bit about your background. So where you went to university, what did you study?
Hi everyone. So yeah, thanks Carla. My name is Mira. I did a bachelor's in mathematics at the University of Birmingham as well. And then during my bachelor's degree, I realised I actually really enjoyed programming. So I ended up doing a computer science master's, and that really helped me join the software engineering graduate scheme at Centrica.
Perfect. And how long have you been there?
I've also been at FEAR for 2 years, and I'm also rolling off the grad scheme, and
Good
will be
stuff.
staying in my current team. So.
Fantastic. Oh, success stories. Love those. Thank you very much, Mira. Ryan, tell us a little bit more about you.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Ryan. I studied a master's in mechanical engineering, so during kind of school, obviously I had a passion for science and maths and those type of subjects, and that was at Strathclyde University. I was interested in the energy industry during my degree, and I really wanted to kind of choose a graduate scheme that would allow me to gain like a varied experience, but also would support working towards chartership, as that's kind of one of my next goals post university, is becoming a chartered engineer. Um, and yeah, I participated in a summer internship in 2021, so that was a couple of years ago. And then rolled off of that straight into a role with Centrica, and I've been on the kind of graduate scheme since, and I've got 1 year left. So yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Ken, finally, tell us a little bit about your background.
Hi everyone, I'm Ken. I'm from Watford. I studied financial maths at University of Kent, and I think what really interests me about energy was the fact that we have such an influence on it on a daily basis. So it influences other fields and just our lives in general. So I started applying for energy companies, and I think it seems like such a great fit for me to work in, given that there's opportunities for analytical stuff as well as more creative opportunities. So I really appreciated the duality of energy. So Centrica as the biggest company, I felt like a great fit. And I've been working since October 2021, so that's been under 2 years, and I really enjoy the company.
Good, brilliant. We'll hear more about your story later on, Ken. So thank you very much for that for now.
Yeah.
Well, we are actually going to go around the room and talk about your favourite thing about working at Centrica. So Lucy, I'm going to come back to you. So what would be your favourite thing about Centrica?
Oh, so I'd say there's too many. One, but I'd say not only are you at the forefront of the energy transition, really making a difference in your day-to-day job, but you are surrounded by actually just the nicest group of people ever. They're very supportive. You can always reach out to anyone in the business, no matter who they are. Everyone wants to help you. And then I'd say more grad scheme specific, my favourite thing is that because it's rotations, so we do 3 rotations as an analyst, it really gives you that breadth to figure out what you want to do in your career. So when I joined Centrica, all I knew was energy. I didn't really know what that meant for me, apart from net zero element. And so you could try 3 completely different things and figure out where you want to be for your long-term career.
Fantastic, brilliant. Thanks. Good insight as well, Lucy. Mira, what's the bestest thing so far about Centrica?
So I think Centrica really fosters innovation. My managers throughout my 3 placements as well have always encouraged me to try new software and experiment doing projects in different ways. They've always been really interested in how I can use these new technologies to benefit the team. Also, adding to what Lucy said, I absolutely love the graduate culture. Casey's made it really brilliant. I love going into the office as well and catching up with everyone, and the Thursday drinks after work.
Obviously, so Thursday drinks after work.
Absolutely.
That's a no-brainer. Thanks very much, Mira. Ryan, tell us about your favourite thing.
Yes, I suppose kind of echoing what others have said really. So I think working part of a team and part of the Centrica team is fantastic. So when you start as a graduate, you'll kind of quickly learn there's no kind of bad or wrong questions. It's really easy just to kind of reach out to people on Teams and things like that if you're not sure about something, or stick kind of Teams calls in with people, and everyone's really welcoming and friendly. And then kind of even in the role more specifically, in terms of engineering, it really feels like we're working together as a team to solve the problems that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I think that sort of working as a team, for me, that's really important, and probably my favorite thing about working at Centrica.
Yeah, it's all about the culture as well, isn't it? Thank you very much. Ken, on to you.
For me, there are a lot of things that are great about working at Centrica. I'll say echoing what everyone said, I think just the sense of community, it's very sociable. I don't think a lot of other large companies, you get the CEO just walking in the office or be able to speak to people regardless of the level. So, it's not any office politics or anything like that. So I'd say it's very conducive to overall development.
Yeah, Fantastic, brilliant insight. Thank you very much, everybody. So Katie, I'm going to come back to you. So I know that you've got 3 types of opportunity available. So you're going live with your graduate opportunities and your year-long placements tomorrow, 29th of September on Gradcracker. And then there will be summer or placement opportunities towards the back end of this year, beginning of next year. So tell the students who are watching this webinar all about the opportunities which will be opening in the near future or in the later on in the future for next year.
Yeah, of course. And we do have quite a lot of different schemes and they sort of vary through programs. So everyone will just have to bear with me a second when I go through them, but I'll hopefully do it quite slowly. So as some of the grads have mentioned, our like graduate programs are between 2 to 3 years. So it really depends on the program you select, and they're all rotational. So it really allows you to get a breadth of experience in a particular stream. And also for graduates, we really expect people to get involved in, the whole Centrica culture. So volunteering, we do lots of development and training, which I'm sure people talk about later, and also, getting involved in like our employee network. So I just wanted to call that out because I think it's really important, that you contribute not just, to your role on a grad program, but the whole organisation. So from a grad scheme perspective, we have got procurement, like our buying scheme. We've got marketing, finance, DTS, which is the computer science program, our people graduate scheme, which was previously HR, commercial analyst. In terms of engineering, we've got offshore engineering and control and instrumentation. And that's it for our grad programs. I think to mention, we do also offer other graduate schemes such as business management. However, we're not going to market with that because it was full from our summer internship. But I think that's a positive news story for people on our summer internship. If you, at the end of being successful and delivered a lot on your internship, you can get offered a place for a graduate program. So that's grad schemes. Summer internship is a 9-week placement that gives you insight into, sort of a deep dive into a certain role, and again involves lots of development and extracurricular. So summer internship, we've got business management, procurement, marketing, finance, DTS, which is computer science, people, commercial analyst, and then we've got 4 types of engineering, so mechanical, electrical, control and instrumentation, and civil engineering. Finally, we've got our year in industry program. So like Carla said, these are the year-long placements, like the sandwich year at university, and we've got business management, procurement, marketing, finance, computer science, DTS, people, commercial analyst, and the unique one about the year in industry is environmental strategy. So that's really exciting if you want to work in our environment team at Centrica. So as I've briefly mentioned, both summer internship and year in industry, if you're successful, you can get offered a place on the graduate scheme for the following year. And just to summarise, applications for grad schemes and year in industry are opening tomorrow, which is the 29th of September. And then summer placements will be around December, January time. But if you follow Gradcracker, you'll get notified when to apply, and I'd say to find out more, look at the like grad case studies on there. There's a lot more information and videos attached.
There's a lot of information on there on the Centrica Hub. We've updated a lot of that this year as well, ready for the campaign going live in the very near future. So make sure you do your research, go and have a look, follow Centrica to find out a little bit more. So stick with us. We're going to look back into Katie towards the end of the webinar. Katie's going to give you lots and lots of quite detailed hints and tips about the application process. But for now, I'm going to hand over to Jessica. Jessica's going to speak to the grads all about their journeys and experiences so far.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. That was a really good introduction. I'm going to labour the point a lot later on about the benefits of doing a placement. So, Katie, Ryan, I'll be coming back to you on that point, which was really good. So, Lucy, I'm going to come to you first. If you could just, I know you've introduced yourself, but if you could just tell us a bit more about your current role at Centrica and a bit maybe more about the scheme itself that you've just come off. So, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'll talk about my placement I've just finished since it was only last week first. So yeah, I was in the group strategy team for my final placement, which is basically we work on the 5-year detailed financial forecast for the company, and we come up with the strategy for like long-term strategy as well as any investment program as well. And then all this content gets presented to the board. So yeah, it's quite a cool placement to be in. So you can really make sure the company is going in a nice direction, learn all about like the decisions you have to make as a company. And yeah, it really goes towards net zero. And then I suppose current role that I started this week, so obviously not too much experience in it yet. Renewable investment analyst is just doing all the transactions for different renewable technologies, making sure that the investments we're doing are good ones, I suppose.
Brilliant. So would you say doing the 3 placements that you did before influenced you on the role that you're going to be in now? And tell us a bit how that actually works, because we talk a lot about, in our, in Gradcracker world, just getting the job, but, and just getting that program. But what actually is the process when you come off the grad program, and how does that work? And, where do you kind of influence where you want to go?
Yeah, so when you come off the program, it's up to you to find a role that fits you. And I think the beauty of that means that you're not kind of siloed off into one way. You can kind of look at anything. You can go back to placements you've been in before, or you can choose a new one. So I suppose my motivations for choosing a new one was I liked different elements of every single placement I did.
Oh, okay.
Indecisive, I know, but I managed to find a role that kind of pulled together the elements I liked of each placement all into one job. So I think that's why it's quite good that you can pick your own path after the grad scheme. But it's a nice process. There's lots of support there. The grad team will support you, your current managers. Like, there's just so much help out there to find a role that really fits you.
That's really, really good. And again, good reflection of Centrica as a company that, they're offering that, and, you've got that support. So that's great. Thanks, Lucy. Mira, I'm going to come to you next, if that's okay. Similar kind of question. And I know you've just done a similar experience to Lucy in terms of you've just rolled off the programme. So tell us a bit about your current role, if you can, or maybe your last placement.
So I rolled off into my last placement, a bit different to Lucy. So I currently work as a Scala developer for the demand side response team. So what we do is we adjust energy consumption on, say, electric vehicles or heat pumps to kind of allow us to make the most of renewable energy. And it's been really exciting to be part of a team that sort of has that direct impact on the future of energy. And yeah, also great to have that sort of responsibility in my third.
Mira, can you tell us a bit more about your team then, and what a typical day for you looks like at the moment?
So my placement's quite unique. It's based in Belgium, so I've had the opportunity to travel during my placement, and we have labs across the country, even in Belgium. So sometimes so the work I'll go into a bit more detail later on, but we've got to travel to, say, the labs in Leicester and work on these batteries and things like that, and I'll visit Belgium and work with the team in the labs there as well.
Okay. Was that one of the reasons why you were interested in applying for Centrica initially, because of the chance to travel, or was this chance to travel just kind of come about because of the roles that you're in, the placements you've been on?
So I think, as you said, that's the beauty of the Centrica grad scheme. You have so much you can do whatever you kind of want to do. So I sort of sourced my own role and spoke to different parts of the business and saw this opportunity available and sort of just went for it as well. So yeah.
I think I'll just add to set expectations. Centrica is mainly UK focused. So if someone, I do think there's a few opportunities outside of the UK, but it is quite rare. However, you never know, we're a growing company. So exactly. It might be more in the future.
Absolutely. And I think that's good for people to know that, because sometimes, when students ask me about, I want to work in a particular country, I want to do this, it's always good to have a plan B as well, because, you never know where your future can take you. So, you start at Centrica, be in the UK, but, in the long run, you don't know where Centrica can take you. So that's a good point. So Mira, just coming back to you, in terms of how does that work then with your team being in the UK? You are physically in the UK at the moment and then working in Belgium. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I love how the post-COVID sort of life is sort of like working remotely, and being a developer, there's lots of technology out there where I can code with my manager at the same time and work on the same ticket at the same time, and it feels like I'm there with them doing the same sort of work. So I don't really see much of a difference, but it is nice to also be able to be in person with them in the Belgian base too.
Absolutely. And I think as well, since COVID, it is all the companies that we speak to, Carla, now it's a completely different way of working now.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just shows you, we've done quite a lot of these webinars now, and a lot of these companies are saying, oh yeah, I can work with my team who's in America, in Belgium, here, there, everywhere. So it is exciting, isn't it? Almost has made the world a little bit smaller, that you can speak to everyone across the world whilst doing your day job. So Ryan, I'm going to come to you next. Similar kind of question. What's your role like currently at Centrica?
Yeah, thanks. So I'm currently working as a rotating equipment engineer at Centrica Energy Storage Plus, and that part of the business has just gone through a bit of a rebrand very, very recently, but that's probably another story. But I'm working in the engineering support team. And essentially what we're doing is supporting the operation, maintenance and project teams to ensure the equipment that we have can operate safely and reliably. And I suppose the background to the business and what this equipment is, essentially, we operate the rough gas storage facility, which was recently reopened at the request of the UK government in response to the kind of Ukraine war and the gas price volatility. And essentially the rough gas storage facility is a depleted offshore gas reservoir in the southern North Sea. And yeah, it essentially can store gas from the UK national grid. We also operate Easington Gas Terminal, in which we process gas from platforms in the southern North Sea, so we can inject that gas into the grid. And that terminal also facilitates our operation of Rough, essentially, so we can kind of pump gas in typically in the summer when the prices are lower, and then we can extract that in the winter and we sell that into the UK market, essentially to kind of balance supply and demand. And the overall aim of that is to reduce the cost per unit of gas for UK customers. So yeah, I suppose that's a little bit of a background to the team and kind of what we operate.
So Lucy, come to you a second. Does your team work almost with Ryan then, in the sense of understanding where we're at, getting that knowledge, so then you can do your predictions?
Yeah, so the way that the group strategy team works is we sit across all the different business units in Centrica. So we work closely with all the different teams within the whole Centrica group. So it's quite a good placement. You get to see and really understand how it's all put together. I've never actually worked on a project with Ryan while I was on my placement, but if a question came up for me to do that was to do with what he's working on, I would go and work with him. So yeah, I worked with other teams across the business more closely, but yeah, it's a good place to be in group if you want to kind of see all of the business units.
Yeah, you're in a good spot there, because you kind of get to work with and see everything that's going on. Sorry, Ryan, back to you. It was just that's how my brain works. I thought, oh, is there a connection? So Ryan, tell me a bit about, so where are you physically right now in the world?
So I'm in Hesel, which is just on the outskirts of Hull. So essentially the Easington Gas Terminal, that's east of Hull on the coast of or basically the east coast of England, and that's essentially kind of the focal point, or one of the focal points along the east coast for kind of where gas comes in from the North Sea.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ryan, you need to wave to Carla, and Carla, you need to wave to Ryan, because you're not that far from each other.
No, I'm just up the road from you, Ryan, so I'll wave to you.
So Ryan, tell me a bit about your team then, in terms of the day-to-day, what it looks like, and what's life like for you at the moment, Ryan?
Yeah, so I kind of sit within the engineering team, and within the engineering team, you've got process engineers, you've got your control and instrumentation engineers, asset integrity engineers, other mechanical engineers, and I think in total there must be about kind of 20 people that kind of sit within that function. And essentially it depends. Things can happen on the assets themselves. So different bits of equipment might break, or something might happen that people think this doesn't look right, and then we kind of get basically communication and requests in, I suppose, to say, yeah, can you provide us with some guidance as to what we should do about this? And equally, we've also got kind of projects which are run. So if we want to kind of, try and improve the processes that we're doing, or we basically need to install new bits of equipment to enable us to do something a bit differently. Then there's a projects team, so we would support the projects team in making sure that the kind of design and specification of that equipment fits basically the function that we want it to perform. So kind of straddles across a few different things, and obviously we get the opportunity to go out to the assets as well and speak to the technicians and the people who are actually working there, see firsthand this stuff happening.
So when you say when you physically get to go out, so is that offshore then you'll get to go out to do that?
Yeah. So get to go out offshore to kind of see what's going on, and obviously that's really exciting. You get to jump in a helicopter and fly out, and then also the gas terminal, which we can drive to. It's about 45 minutes east from Hull, so we can kind of go out there too. And yeah, so I think from an engineering standpoint, there's quite a good breadth of things to kind of see and do and experience to be gained there.
It's really quite hands-on, isn't it, engineering that you're experiencing, Ryan? And just because I love placements, everyone knows that.
It's not like you mentioned it, Jess.
Tell me a bit about your placement, if that's okay, Ryan. So you obviously did your placement at Centrica. You said it was a summer placement?
Yes, yeah.
So why did you decide to apply to Centrica's summer placement? And tell me a bit of the process about the benefits of obviously then landing the graduate role with Centrica.
Yes, I suppose when I was in university, I think, like I'm sure many people are, you're kind of keen to get your foot in the door in industry, and I was obviously interested in the energy industry, so I put out an application to the Centrica Summer Placement Scheme. This was like pre-COVID, so I actually had my like assessment centre for that placement in person before kind of COVID happened. But then after COVID happened, it ended up being delayed a year, and then I did it virtually in 2021. So yeah, that was, I suppose that was how I came to be on the placement. And then when I was on my placement, essentially we had to kind of produce a project to look at different energy storage technologies that the business could invest in. And we produced a report off the back of that then got kind of submitted and presented basically around some different teams within the business. And yeah, luckily enough, based on kind of the performance, I suppose, I got offered a role on the graduate scheme. And I suppose one of the key benefits is that the summer placement is kind of like an extended interview, really. Like it's a chance for the business to see what you're like, but also it's actually a chance for you to see what the business like, and you think, actually, do I want to work in this place? So it kind of is a bit of a two-way street with the summer placement. So yeah, obviously if you do well, you get the opportunity to I suppose not backdoor entry onto the graduate scheme, but it's probably a bit of a smoother transition because you've already gone through kind of the graduate assessment process to get into the summer placement, and obviously made my final year at university a little bit less stressful too, which was nice.
Placements. So Katie, do you want to add anything to that from a recruiter's perspective? Obviously you said that you've filled some graduate roles already this year through doing the summer placements. You know, from a company, from Centrica as a business, why do you like to offer placements?
I think it's really what Ryan touched on. So it gives both us as an employer and, students an opportunity to see if Centrica's for them. Are they right for us? And I think, in 9 weeks, people can add so much value. The projects people are, working on really make a difference. And I think it's great from a business perspective, obviously, to get that value add, getting the fresh ideas, but also in the long term to have that sort of talent through the organisation. I definitely feel like my summer, I think it just puts you at ease when like Ryan said, in your last year, you don't have to go through the application process again, and you build up a big network. So then when you actually come back on the grad program, you've already got sort of contacts in place, which I think is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for Ryan, obviously for you, it concreted the fact that this is the company I want to work for. So when going into your final year, it's like, great, I could just concentrate on getting the best qualification I can, because I'm going to hit the ground running for when I've finished. Perfect answer. That's definitely a little snippet there. I can use that in my presentations. Thanks, guys. It's done my work for me. Ken, sorry, last but not least, thank you for finally coming to you. I do apologise. Tell us all a bit about what life is like for you at Centrica and a bit about the team and everything that you work in.
So I'm currently working in an electric vehicle team as a pricing manager, and my role is to look at the pricing of, initially to look at pricing of electric vehicles. But I think a couple of months ago, we looked at how we can incorporate the whole of Hive, so other products such as thermostats and heat pumps and things like that. So that's been really interesting to have a view of all the products. And some of the projects that I'm working on include creating offers to sell Hive EV chargers, and also managing a relationship with partners, so with the Hive products that we sell with.
Did you say Hive then?
Yes, Hive. So the Hive division of Centrica.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, forgetting that. So can tell us a bit more about your team then that you particularly work in, and again, what's kind of day-to-day life like for you in that team?
Yeah, so as I said, initially we were just looking at electric vehicles, but currently there's a lot of other products that we look at. So in my team, we've got me in pricing, they've got business development, we've got commercial. So there are quite a lot of different hats that we wear. So I think my role on a day-to-day basis is just to see what I can support with in Hive in general. So it doesn't just have to be about electric vehicles, about anything. So currently we're looking at how we can change the delivery options to support the customers more, and different things like that.
It must be exciting for you though, Ken, because again, I know all of you are at this point in your career, working for a company like Centrica. You're at the forefront of change now, aren't you? And this is kind of hot topic at the moment. With all the pressure of becoming more electric, electric cars and everything else. It must be nice on a day-to-day basis feeling like you're part of that change.
Definitely. I would say that's actually one of the reasons why I picked the electric vehicle placement, because it's the fact that I'm part of the contribution to net zero, and I can say I'm leaving my footprint. So I would say that's definitely the reason. You feel like contributing. It's not like you're not just doing anything. You're actually helping net zero, helping the company, or adding value to the company. So I would definitely recommend EV as a team to work in. When people get to Centrica.
Yeah, 100%. And how long have you been in that team for? Sorry, Ken.
So I started May, so about 5 months.
Okay. And how long will you be in that team for?
Well, until December, so it's an 8-month placement.
Right. Yeah. And then what happens after that?
I think, I'm looking at rolling off opportunities. So ideally roll off into something else, or to be the same team. But my advice would be to always change your placements, so don't just stick in one area. I think I'm naturally a very analytical person, but it's always good to try something different. So that's why, for example, I tried something creative for my second placement. Change is something that's very important, and I feel like that's the only way you can grow, rather than just being stuck in your comfort zone.
Absolutely. I'd really echo that as well. I think doing different types of roles and placements is really important. I think it's easy to sort of think, I really like this area, so actually my next placement I want to do something similar. But really, I think thriving on a grad scheme is all about getting different experiences. Even sometimes, you might have experiences you don't like, but at least for your future career, that. So I think that's a great point.
And then ultimately, when you're in Lucy and Myra's place, then you think, well, actually, no, what I'm going to go into next is a place I actually genuinely want to be. And also, Lucy, you mentioned as well about networking. The more than experience you've got, if you ever do need to ask a question in a team, that, you can pick up the phone and say, oh, got a question. Can you help me out here? And in the long run, it benefits, doesn't it? So it's a no-brainer. Absolutely. Put yourself in those situations. Don't play safe. Next, we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about next? We're going to talk about
placements.
Experience. Yes, we are. So, Lucy, I'm going to come to you. If you could tell me a bit about your placement that you've just finished, and why you chose that placement, and
Shall I start at placement 1 or the?
Start at placement 1 and then kind of go through why you chose the different placements to then decide where you're at now in your career. I think that's what we want to know a little bit more about.
Cool. So first placement I was in Hive, so the same area as where Ken is right now, which sits in British Gas, being a demand side response analyst for propositions. So that's working on EVs, heat pumps, solar for residential customers, and figuring out how to make the journey for them moving to net zero a nice transition, and also got that element of how it's actually going to be affordable for them. So that role was a lot of stakeholder management and collaboration, and stuck to what I liked as net zero. And then for my second placement, I knew as an analyst, I wanted to get more experience in Excel and more of a technical role. So then I was a net zero investment analyst. So this was actually working in Centrica Business Solutions. So you can kind of see the role as net zero consulting. So working with different corporate clients to help them reach their path to net zero by modeling in Excel, like which technologies they should invest in when, making sure the business case is still stacked up throughout that. So that was for technologies like solar and heat pump and things like that. And then for my third placement, I knew I wanted a role where I kind of looked more at the strategy, so kind of bigger picture, looking out. So that's then why I chose that group strategy placement, where you just look across the whole of Centrica, more strategic thinking and what shall we do as a business? Big fat question mark. Trying to come up with the answer. So yeah, I'd say that was my journey throughout. And then for rolling off, I knew I wanted to keep the net zero element for my first placement and collaboration element. Wanted to keep the investment modelling for my second one. And then I was working on the investment programme from a broader sense in my third placement, whereas in this role as a renewable investment analyst now, I can actually do the investment programme and make the investments a reality.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That's a really good point there, Lucy. In terms of, obviously making those decisions, Katie mentioned it, about being as broad as possible. Was that your conscious decision? Or, we're saying that, think outside the box, be creative with the placements and where you're going to go. Or did it just fall like that for you, would you say?
Yeah, so I suppose when you're moving on placements, how it works is you have a graduate talent manager who looks after you, and they will source all these roles for each time you need to move around your placements. And it'll be a big list of like 20 different roles that all that analysts. So I think there's 8 of us there was. So we had a big selection of roles, and we could look between them all. And then you decide from that list, what do you like the look of? And you apply for 3, so you get a better flavour of the roles through the application process. And then from after that, you can like pick where suits you best, but you can also get roles put onto the list. So I know some people who really wanted to work in the hydrogen business, for example. So they sourced a role that was specifically on hydrogen that wouldn't have otherwise been on the list, and then they did that placement. So for me, I think I knew I kind of wanted to do more investment and strategy, so I chose to go that direction. But I know other people who wouldn't source roles, and they just kind of applied for what looked good on the list, and it all worked out well. Everyone I know is like their placements, which is quite lucky.
Yeah. In terms of that kind of list then and that process, so could you also then, I know we're saying still, Katie, within the UK, realistically, majority of the time you will be better just across the UK, but could you then say pick different areas across the UK you wanted your next placement to be?
Yeah, so when you get to see the list says the location that you're meant to be based in for that placement. Obviously it's slightly different because when I started, it was kind of COVID was still finishing, so there was still like a work from home mandate at some point of it. But there was a few roles. I know someone like went into the Manchester office quite a lot for one of their placements. Someone went into the Hull office. So I was mainly Windsor and London office just from the placements that I chose. Sure. But there's a big range.
And there's that option to travel and relocate if you want to, which is great. Mara, I'm going to come to you with similar kind of questions. So what's your favourite kind of piece of work that you've covered whilst choosing your placement, and how did that kind of help to navigate your experience during the scheme?
So my favourite thing that I've been doing is in my placement right now. So at the minute I'm working on writing some code that actually controls like a device in someone's home, which I think is crazy. But it's completely different to what I thought I'd be doing in Centrica when I started the scheme. So my first placement was working as a front-end developer in British Gas Energy, so sort of working with the agents and helping them with the customer service side of things. And my second placement was in Hive, so all things smart thermostats and electric vehicles again. But that second placement, I thought I played it a bit safe. So for my third one, I kind of thought I'd put myself outside my comfort zone and go for something completely random, a coding language I hadn't done before. And I do think you do learn everything on the job as well. So there's so much support available that it was like a great experience, and now I'm ending up rolling off into that role. So
it paid off.
It paid off.
Paid off. And this is why it's good, isn't it, putting yourself out of the comfort zone. So in terms of, tell us a bit about that kind of project then, so you're saying was Hive that you worked in, that was your favorite project, and what kind of experience did you get that made you tick for you, yes, this is why I want to do it?
So I really liked the fact that I could be helping sort of shape the future of energy. So controlling these devices. I think everyone's going to have these devices in their homes in the future, and being part of that change is what keeps me really motivated and looking forward to like the work I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, again, it's something that people come across on a daily basis, isn't it? Again, it's in the media all the time. It's stuff that we're talking about all the time, and you're actually making those changes at the moment. And it must be really nice again when you go home on a night, you think, oh, you're at home on a night, you think, oh, job satisfaction and helping that, and I'm putting towards a positive change. I'm guessing that's obviously another reason why you wanted this particular role once you finished your program.
Yeah, I think also like having all this wide experience has helped me in this role as well. So like doing all the cloud technology stuff in my previous 2 placements has even allowed me to sort of kind of give advice to people in my team that maybe I have more experience in that software than they do. It's nice as well.
I'm trying to keep away from the training development question, because that's coming next. So I will come back to you on that. And Ryan, similar kind of question for you, if that's okay, about your experiences, favourite project, thing that you've worked on so far, and how that's influenced you.
Yeah, so just I suppose a quick bit of background on the engineering graduate scheme. It's like 3 years, and you do 3 1-year placements, as opposed to some of the analyst schemes, which are 8-month placements. So that can kind of be a bit confusing when some people are rolling off and some people are still in the graduate scheme and things like that. Yeah. So I'm just about to finish my 2nd year, and I kind of spoke a little bit about my 2nd year placement already in Centrica Energy Storage. So I suppose one of my favourite projects, I'll just speak in a bit more detail about my first placement, and I was a client-side project manager for Centrica's first wholly owned and grid-connected solar farm. So this solar farm basically was getting built over the course of between 2021 and 2022, and it's now connected to the grid, and it was finished successfully, and produces 18 megawatts of power, which is enough to power 5,000 homes. And land area wise, we're looking at about 24 football pitches worth of solar panels, and that's based in basically west of London. And personally, basically, I was kind of thrown in at the deep end a little bit, which I think is great about working at Centrica, is that people aren't scared to kind of give you real responsibility. And I really gained a lot of commercial knowledge in terms of like contracts and project finance, contractor management, things like planning applications and grid connections, which I'd never thought I'd be anywhere near. And then some more technical kind of skills to do with the or considerations with the solar farm as we were building it, was things like the control system that we had around the site, and also cybersecurity. So obviously that's a big thing at the moment. So there were kind of loads of things that you just got involved in over the course of that, and it was just like fantastic to be a part of that. And obviously that's kind of, like others have said, a contribution towards net zero, and there's something kind of really satisfying about seeing a project through from start to finish and kind of seeing it be completed. But yeah, I think, I suppose something else, obviously the business is continually evolving. So the placements that are around when I first started, like some of them are still around, but there's like way more and different variety, and it really evolves as you go through the graduate scheme. So that's one thing that's kind of quite interesting to bear in mind, is that we can be saying lots of things here, but hopefully in kind of 2 or 3 years time, there's going to be like a variety of different placements that we can't even kind of predict or kind of imagine at this point. So I think the business is in kind of a good place to I suppose grow that space and allow more opportunities in the future.
That's a really, really good point, because also, again, when you're thinking about, as a graduate, you're thinking, okay, what industries are out there? Where can my degree take me? And if you think of the future, which will lead me nicely soon onto my next question about the future, but as a company, you guys aren't going anywhere, are you? You're at the, it's not that there's any kind of part of your industry just yet that's going to be stopping. This is going to have to keep on going forever. So it must be nice that, again, where you're going to be in, say, 20 years' time, you might not be doing what you're doing now, Ryan. You could be doing something completely different. And that's really, really nice thought, isn't it? So where do you go next year? Where's your next placement?
Yeah, so I've sorted out my next placement, and that's basically going to be working in the offshore part of the business. So I'll be based offshore as a maintenance engineer. And I suppose, again, like everyone's kind of said, the driver for that is really I wanted to kind of pick the 3 different placements. So one was kind of in projects, one was kind of in the sort of technical engineering / design role, and my next one's going to be kind of in operations and maintenance. So I could have that kind of full broad experience over the course of my 3 years to then allow me to kind of know what I want to move into. But that also supports your chartership application and working towards chartership, because you need to hit kind of basically kind of a range of different experiences. And being able to do that is I think really, really useful at the start of your career, because it just gives you that broad knowledge, and it makes it a lot easier to kind of talk to different people across the industry and across the business when you've got that sort of understanding from having the varied experience at the start of your career.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. Yeah, because you did say again that's something that you're interested in doing. So it's good that Centrica's supporting you on that, but you're making those decisions wisely as well with that in mind. So that's really, really good. Ken, I'm going to come to you next. Same kind of question. Favorite projects, placements, everything else, and how that influenced you.
Yeah, so I think my graduate scheme is a bit different from Ryan's, in terms of I did 3 8-month placements. My first placement was as a researcher insight analyst in services and solutions. So looking at more behind the scenes of data, looking at, the voice of the customer, what pain points that customers have with engineer visits and things like that. Now, for my second placement, I chose something that was completely different, being an energy proposition manager in British Gas. And the reason why I chose it is because, as I said before, it's something completely different, looking at more the softer side, creative side of energy, which I thought was quite interesting. And that's the second place was actually where my favorite project came from, which was in SEG. So SEG is essentially a smart export guarantee, and essentially what solar customers get paid for the energy that they export back to the grid. Now, initially I found it very daunting, customers actually see what's happening on the website, but I found it really invaluable, the skills that I learned in terms of like stakeholder management, presenting, and just overall proposition creation. And, super fulfilling to have your work actually displayed on the website. So I kind of left my footprint in that placement, which was really, really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. You must be really proud of yourself.
Yeah.
I bet. In terms of, listening to all 4 of you, I don't include you, Katie, but you're definitely not on the grad program anymore. But you all sound like you almost work at different companies in a sense. Do you see what I mean? It's crazy how big and how broad the options are. All 4 of you, completely different experiences, but all absolutely fantastic. I'm conscious of time because I know, Katie, you want to talk to us a lot about the application process and things like that. But Miro, I did want to come back to you on training development, because I was avoiding that question earlier. I nearly fell into that trap, and I was thinking of what to come back to you with. So training development, you've got a bit of a classic example there with your experiences. So could you tell us a bit about the training development that you've had so far from Centrica?
So Centrica has been really, really good, and like all the training that I've needed for each of my placements. Each placement was completely different, and we use a lot of cloud technologies in Centrica. So I've had training in AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. We've also had training in Azure. We've can also have training in different coding languages such as Terraform, and learning like best practices with Git. We get also a lot of like hackathons and working with different parts of the business, so we can learn security best practices and things like that. So it's all kind of unique to your own journey, but yeah, it's really good.
Where you are now, did you think 2 years ago you'd be here?
Absolutely not. I thought I kind of was like, oh, I love front end developing and I love doing that sort of thing. And yeah, just from all the different certifications that I was able to do, I was found out that I really enjoyed actually a very different side of programming than I expected.
Well done you again for putting yourself in these situations. It's absolutely brilliant. I don't know if anyone else wants to add to training development, anything that, Lucy, you're going to say something? I'll come to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's also like grad-wide development that all the grads get to do together. So all of us on the whole scheme come together. So there's probably, I think there's 50 of us, around 50. And we get like these away days and they have different trainings all together. So there was one that was about being like a good leader and leadership. There was one about followership, so working well in a team. And we've also had some other ones that are focused on presentation style as well. So it's nice, just a time for the grads to get together and develop those almost softer skills.
Absolutely. Again, which leads me quite nicely on to the next question, is a bit about kind of extra curricular activities. So Katie, you mentioned that briefly in the intro, but if anyone wants to, so either Ryan or Ken, you want to tell us a bit about the kind of networking groups you might be involved in?
Definitely. So you can be involved in a lot of different networks, there's diversity, there's a lot of different, even like in terms of extracurricular activities, I know some people play football after work. So there's anything that you can imagine, like you can just join. So that's really interesting, as well as what Lucy said. There's fellowship events and different things like that, in which you can develop on collaboration, develop on presentation, and also overall developing your soft skills, which has been very good. And if you want to develop anything in particular, I think at Centrica there's no such thing as a bad question. You can always have a chance to present if you want to. A lot of training is done on the job, so there's ample opportunity to develop in anything you want to do.
Oh, that's great. Again, fantastic advice as well. If you go in with that mindset, you're not going to go far wrong. Ryan, I'll finish it with you. If you've
Yeah. To be honest with you, I think Ken's kind of covered it. I mean, we do kind of work five-a-sides where I am, and that's every Thursday. So I've got my boots in the car today, and that's where I'll be going after this. So there is external, loads of external things you can do. And then, I think something that you said, Jess, about how obviously our experiences are quite varied. And it's almost like we're working in different businesses. Sometimes, because Centrica is made up of different business units, it can feel like people are a bit spread about. But that's one thing that's really good about the graduate scheme, is we've got these kind of, it's like 3 or 4 times a year we have these away days where all the graduates come together, and that almost kind of provides a bit of a glue between finding out what's actually going on. So I know Ken and Lucy and Mira, even though we're in different business units, it's really easy just to talk to them on Teams because we've all met before and had a lot of fun doing these events. So you've kind of got the balance between, you can get all that varied experience, but you don't feel like you're just sitting in like a silo that you're isolated from kind of everyone else. So that's probably something to add to that.
Yeah, and do you know what? That's the perfect way to end on it, because that is a really, really good point. And, I think if anyone's listening, think, right, Katie, how do I apply? Because I'm excited.
Cool. So our application process is, firstly, you need to complete an online application form. That's just sort of capturing, key details, and also a CV. I'll just run through the process and then give some tips and tricks. After that, you'll do a numerical reasoning, verbal reasoning, and personality questionnaire. I think with the personality questionnaire, it's just really important to answer it honestly, because if people are answering what they think we want them to answer, it can flag up. So just answer it, honestly. You're not going to get assessed on that. It's more for us just to find out more about you. Next phase is a video interview, but this is where you'll have 3 minutes to, you'll get told the question, have 3 minutes to prepare an answer, and then you'll have to record and answer yourself. So it's not like there's another person asking the questions. And finally, it's a virtual assessment centre. So group exercise, meet the manager task, and an interview. So tips and tricks, I think with the CV, it's really important to have a personal statement at the top that's really tailored to your stream and also that showcases your transferable skills in relation to that. Also important that we have a bit of an understanding of what modules you do at uni, especially for like engineering or more of the technical streams. It's really useful to know what technical knowledge you have. And also keep your CV concise. We don't need, 3 or 4 pages. It should be definitely no more than 2 pages. I think with numerical and verbal reasoning, definitely speak to your universities. They should be able to give you some practice on that. And also, I would recommend speaking to your careers advisor about CVs. I think the more people you get to review it, the better. Video interview is really important to answer the questions we ask, not the questions you want us to ask, and also really be quite specific. So a lot of people say, I want to work for Centrica because I'm passionate about net zero, but what is it about net zero that you're passionate about? Same with I want to do the HR grad scheme because I'm a people person. We need more detail than that. So it's just not about, saying broad statements. It's about giving more detail. And also be mindful of your body language. So smile, breathe, look like you're enjoying yourself and just be open. I think that's really key. And also try and pause so you really create impact with what you're saying. And then finally, from assessment centres, the STAR approach is really useful for your interview, like structuring your questions. Group exercise, you definitely don't need to be the loudest in the room. So think about what other ways can you add value. So it might be challenging someone, but in a constructive manner. It could be adding to someone else's point. Can you keep the group reminded of the time or bring someone quiet into the conversation? They're all ways that you can succeed in it. And I think just remember the assessors are there to support you. So really just, pay attention to the assessor. If they're asking you a bit more detail, it probably means they need it. So just really try and sort of answer the questions that they are giving you. But we do give a lot of support throughout our application process. So you'll get, some more information on how you should be preparing. And hopefully everyone would vouch from my experience as well. It was like a very friendly sort of process. I think we try and put people at ease.
I think that's a good point as well, Katie. Just having a pause and thinking before you answer the question. Don't jump straight in. People aren't judging you, and it's good to take that couple of seconds. So tell us a little bit more when students do start then, Katie, about the induction process. What can they expect in the first week or so at Centrica?
Yeah, so the induction process is something we've actually done loads of work on, especially the last year. So we've moved away from a 2-day induction. Now it's a 4-day induction. So next year it'll be from Tuesday to Friday, like 1st of October 2024. And it's really, interactive workshops. You'll get to meet senior leaders across the business. You'll get to network with current graduates and also hear about, the experiences of people after the programme. And we also try and do quite a lot of skill development as well. So getting speakers in to talk about different topics. And also this year, actually, we're doing a day volunteering together. So it's more just about, meeting different people and really understanding our business and culture.
Yeah. Brilliant. And just like Katie said, and I said at the beginning of the webinar, so there'll be an opening for their graduate and year-long placements tomorrow, 29th of September. They'll be open for the summer placements at the back end of December, beginning of January. So make sure you follow Centrica today to be alerted when those opportunities go live. So thank you very much, Katie, for everything that you've just mentioned. What we're going to do now is close on a bit of a one-liner from the graduates. So in one sentence, starting with you, Lucy, why should a student choose Centrica?
Oh, it'll be hard in one sentence. But, I suppose you get to be at the front of the energy transition and figure out exactly where you want your career to go over 2 years while being supported by just the nicest group of people you'll ever meet.
That was really good to fit that into one sentence. Well done, Lucy.
I might have put 3 points in one, I think.
I know, I thought that. Then I was like, there's more than 1 point here. Thank you, Lucy. Mira, on to you.
Oh, that'd be hard to beat. So joining the software engineering grad scheme, you'll get to be part of an industry leader in the energy industry and also have a chance to work with all the cool new cutting edge technologies.
Love it. Did really well. Ken?
I think Centrica, really cares about its employees, and there are multiple opportunities for personal and professional development, which I believe helps us in overall becoming more well-rounded people.
Yeah. And then you next door neighbour, Ryan?
Yeah, so Centrica, I think, has recently made some big commitments to investments in the energy transition, and the company really places a priority on personal development. So these two things together make it a really exciting place to advance your career in the energy industry and also develop as a graduate.
Perfect summaries for perfect webinar. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. Good luck, everybody who's watching, and when you do decide to apply to Centrica. Join me and Jess on Monday. We'll be back with Aston Martin Formula 1, 2 o'clock. Don't miss it. It's going to be fantastic. And we shall see you all later on. So thank you, everybody. See you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.